Good morning, guys. Welcome to our assembly. Now, this week is an exciting week because at some point this week, you are going to spend some time with your new class teachers. And some of our teachers have moved to teach different year groups, so you might be taught by somebody that you weren't expecting to be taught by. You might be in a different room and you might not know who that person is that you're going to because you've never really come across them in school before. But this is a really exciting time because you're going to go into the class in the morning and you're going to find out what that person's like, and you're going to see how lovely Mr. Babington is, or you're going to meet Miss Webb for the first time and think, you know what, she's ace. Or you might have done number masters with Mrs. Blades all year and you might be really, really pleased that you're going into Mrs. Blades' class. Or there's lots of different people, and there's lots of exciting things because everybody's different, but all of our teachers at Wincham are really, really lovely people. But that first time you go into class, when you meet your new teacher for the first time, you need that little bit of bravery, and you need to be able to say, I'm a little bit worried, but I think it'll all be okay. Because we have to get over that little bit of worry to begin with. And just like our Year 6 children, they're going to their transition days, they're going to their new high schools at different points, and they're having to go and be a bit brave because it's a bit daunting. You guys have been at Wincham for 6 or 7 years now. That's a really long time. And to go somewhere different is a really big deal. But you're being brave about it. And what happens, I said this to somebody yesterday on the playground, is that you go for the first time, and you realize that it's all okay, and then you won't go from a worry this size to a worry that's that size, and then in September when you're in school you realize that worry's gone away because it actually wasn't anything serious anyway. So what we're going to do, because we're talking about bravery, is I'm going to share a bit of a story about bravery for you. And we're going to have a look at this story. Now, this story was from the other week. Have a look at the picture and see what bits you can identify. See if you can have a really close look at some of the details. What's happened in that picture? Have a talk in class. Share your ideas. There you go. Well done. Now, I'm not sure. I can see... here we've got people in the window of the helicopter, got people on the ground, but they don't look like they're wearing uniforms. And my first thought was that was an army helicopter because of the camouflage, but then when you look at the people down on the ground, they're not wearing soldiers' uniforms, so I wasn't sure. So we're talking about bravery, and there's a different version of that same photo with a bit more of the helicopter. Because we talked about being brave, we talked about how we might need to be brave to go into a new class, things like that. Can you think of other examples when you've had to be brave, or when other people have to be brave? Share those ideas. Right, well done. You have to be brave when you're doing things for the first time, when you're trying something new. You have to be brave when you're meeting new people. You have to be brave if you're doing something difficult or something that's a bit risky or dangerous, if you're trying a trick on your scooter or your bike. So there's lots of different examples of bravery. Now, this week's story, 4 children have been found alive after surviving a plane crash and spending 40 days alone in the Amazon jungle in Colombia. And Colombia's president, Gustavo Petro, heralded the rescue as a joy for the whole country. The 4 siblings were the only survivors of the plane that crash landed in the jungle on the 1st of May. And they then became the focus of a massive rescue operation involving soldiers and local people. Speaking of the incredible feat of survival, Gustavo Petro said, they were alone. They themselves achieved an example of total survival, which will remain in history. That's pretty incredible, isn't it? That really is. Now, so that you can see a little bit more about it, I've sent you teachers a link to the news story about it, so they can stop the video here, watch the news story, and then we'll come back to this assembly. So do that, read that bit, watch that bit, sorry. So pick some words that fit with how you feel about this. I think I feel quite happy knowing that this has happened. I feel quite cheerful and positive because this has happened, but I'm very sad for the children because it must have been an awful ordeal for them. So there's quite a few different things going on there. So this is something that happened. So obviously we're here. Friends in Kenya are down here in Africa, and this is at the top end of South America in Colombia. Okay, and we've got some children who lived in the forest, a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 1-year-old. Imagine being one and surviving like that. And the family are members of the Huitoto family who learn hunting, fishing, and gathering from an early age. And the children ate fruit, seeds, and a type of flower to survive. And the eldest is 13-year-old Leslie. Leslie knew which fruits were safe to eat, which was important as there are many poisonous fruits in the forest. And she knew how to care for a baby. And the Colombian army flew in with 150 soldiers with dogs to help with the search, alongside volunteers from indigenous groups who lived in the area. And throughout the search, soldiers found evidence in the jungle that led to the belief that children were still alive. Some of the clues involved a pair of footprints, a baby bottle, nappies, and fruit that looked like humans had eaten it. And the search was supported by 2 dogs. So Wilson is here and Tellius is here. And the dogs helped the soldiers reach the children after picking up their scent. So what sort of types of bravery have been shown here? Have a think in class. What sort of types of bravery? I think there's quite a lot going on. So these children had to survive without their parents. They had to find food for themselves. They had to find shelter and protect themselves from the environment. They had to be without adults. They had to trust that somebody was coming to rescue them. But even the people who looked for them were brave as well, because they had to go into the jungle not knowing what they were going to find. There's lots of different types of bravery. Now, the Colombian jungle is hot and humid. It's part of the Amazon rainforest, and it's bigger than the whole of the UK. And there's many bits of the jungle that haven't ever been explored. It's hot and humid, so between 21 and 30 degrees, and it rains every single day, but it's still really hot. Thousands of different animal species, a sloth, spectacled bear, jaguar, and puma, all animals found in the Colombian jungle. And some of the plants that grow in the Colombian jungle are edible, so their roots, fruits, or leaves can be eaten, but some are poisonous and would cause harm if eaten. So, what do you think it would be like to live in the Colombian jungle? I wonder if we go back to our list of words. Imagine if you had to live in the Colombian jungle. How would you feel? I think there's lots of words from each category. I would feel disorientated because I wouldn't know where I was. I would be distressed at not having the things around me that I know I need, like food and water and shelter. I'd be afraid. I'd be fearful of what's around me. But then hopefully I would be able to see some of the beautiful things around as well. And hopefully I would be able to be buoyant or cheerful, optimistic about the future. I'm not sure. Have a think, see what you can find out. Right. Now, this is about the group of people that we talked about called the Huitoto, an indigenous group whose traditional land is around the southern Colombian city of Leticia. And Huitoto traditionally learn hunting, fishing, and gathering from a young age, and whilst some still do this, others have adopted a more modern lifestyle, embracing technology. They use basket weaving and cultivate and transform cocoa leaves into these baskets. And they traditionally take part in singing, dancing, and body painting for special occasions. So there we go. We've got examples of what bravery is. So Like I said, we've got some time when you are going to be meeting your new teacher, and you're going to have to be brave. You're not going to have to be alone in the jungle with your class teacher. You're going to have to be with all of your classmates in a classroom with them. And that's an awful lot safer than the jungle. And I'm sure that when you come out of that morning, you realize that your class teacher is a really, really lovely person, that you will feel really good about it. And you will be looking forward to being in their class in September. Okay. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.